Alright, now it's time for me to talk about The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring as a fan of the source material. How does it measure up? Well, there are a number of changes made in translating Tolkien's first volume to the big screen, and literary loyalists have definitely pointed them out over the years. However, let's not forget about the extended edition, which includes many scenes from the book that didn't make the theatrical cut, such as the Midgewater Marshes and the Fellowship receiving gifts from the Lothlorien elves. While I maintain that these versions are the definitive ways to watch these movies, there are still a number of alterations that people have brought up. First of all, the time frame in the Shire is completely different. In the book, when Gandalf leaves to investigate the origins of the ring, several years pass before he returns. When Frodo finally sets out on his long journey, he's around 50 years old. Granted, hobbits generally live to be about 100 or more, but Frodo's age in the movie is still a pretty big departure. When filming started, Elijah Wood was only 18 years old, which is not exactly middle-aged. However, this oddly doesn't seem to matter. These casting choices still capture the essence of each character, which is why I can't see anyone else playing them at this point. One of the most popular complaints about this adaptation is the omission of Tom Bombadil. Who's Tom Bombadil, you ask? I'm not entirely sure. He seems to be some kind of spiritual embodiment of the countryside, I think. The most we're given is that he was the first. He was in Middle-earth before anyone or anything else. He lives with his wife Goldberry, who is similarly spiritual in nature and simply described as the daughter of the river. They basically live a carefree lifestyle and convey much of their dialogue through song. Not only were these two characters left out of the movie, but the entire section involving them was not included. In the book, as the hobbits are making their way to Bree, they pass through the Old Forest and the Barrow-downs, both of which are more than they appear to be. When they get attacked by the tree known as Old Man Willow, and later get captured by the ghostly barrow-wights, Tom arrives both times and saves them while singing that upbeat song of his. You may be wondering, what does any of this have to do with the ring and the quest at large? The answer? Not much. This is an example of Tolkien building his world within the story, which works better on the page than it would in the film. Since it has so little to do with the primary narrative, putting this section in the movie would have felt superfluous and distracting. In addition, having some happy nature man dance onto the screen would have definitely broken the foreboding mood that they were going for and undermined the menace. If it's any consolation to you loyalists, Tom Bombadil has been featured in several of the games. Speaking of characters that were cut out, what about Glorfindel? In the film, when Frodo gets stabbed by the Nazgul, he is rushed to the elven refuge of Rivendell by Arwen, an elf maiden who is in love with Aragorn. In the book, an elf named Glorfindel comes to give Frodo his horse so that the hobbit can get himself to Rivendell. This character has no further part to play in the story, which is once again an instance of Tolkien constructing a world outside the main story. Seeing as Glorfindel is basically a one-off character in the main narrative, the writers decided to give his role to Arwen to help her contribute to the tale. This is another change that I don't mind, as it gives the character something to do that makes sense. You can believe that she would be skilled at riding a horse, so the female empowerment angle is not shoved in your face. There are other alterations. In the book, Aragorn is given the sword Andúril Flame of the West when he leaves Rivendell. The filmmakers save this for The Return of the King, which I like, as it serves as an appropriate rite of passage. On the other hand, one event that happens later that they used in this film is Boromir's death. Originally occurring at the beginning of The Two Towers, this sad scene is used as the climax of this film. Again, this makes sense in the context of the movie. Not only does it work as a fitting emotional punch to end the story, but it concludes the character arc that they build throughout the film by giving him a means of redemption. There is no denying that certain narrative liberties were taken with The Fellowship of the Ring, but many of them were done in the interest of making a better movie. A film should still be enjoyable even if you haven't read the book. In that sense, Peter Jackson and company succeed with flying colors. In conjunction, the plethora of references and lines taken straight from the book let you know that the filmmakers clearly respect the source material and care about giving fans the best possible experience with this adaptation.